Hi friends, good morning. Today we are taking the topic of political science class 12 from first book Contemporary World Politics. Our topic is End of Bipolarity. This is an important topic as the other chapters are related to this topic. So in the beginning, we must start from the beginning bipolarity. So what is the basic meaning of bipolarity? Bipolarity basic means the existence of two superpowers at the global level. And initially at the global level, there were two superpowers, USSR and USA. USSR, also known as Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, also known as Soviet Union. Soviet Union basically comes into existence in 1917 with the Russian Revolution. Soviet Union was formed of 15 republics and Russia was the largest republic at the time. And the other superpowers was USA. So there is basically the conflict of ideology. There was ideology of capitalism in USA at the time, and Soviet Union was following the ideology of socialism. So these are opposite to each other. So the war that we can say the Cold War basically started between the US and USSR. That was the war of ideology or conflict. That's whose ideology is better. That's whether socialism is better or capitalism is better. So there are two world wars were there. The first world war was from 1914 to 1918, and second was from 1939 to 1945. So with the end of the second world war in 1945, basically our Cold War started between USSR and USA, and that Cold War continues till 1991. That Cold War ended in 1991 with the disintegration of the USSR. USSR finally disintegrated on 25 December 1991, and our world became unipolar. Unipolar means that at the global level there was only one superpower, and that was US. So then there are certain countries which were following the ideology of the USSR, which came along with the USSR. These countries together known as Socialist Bloc or the Second World countries. Earlier they are also from the two military blocks, and that military blocks first USA formed, that was known as NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, that was formed by US in 1949, and the other was formed by USSR, Warsaw Pact in 1955, and that Warsaw Pact came to an end with the disintegration of the USSR. Then how USSR disintegrated? Such a powerful system was there. The USSR became powerful after the Second World War because it was had vast economic resources were there, well developed infrastructure there, and all these things. Best manufacturing system was there. They had well developed industries. They were manufacturing from base to cars, so there was no unemployment at the time. They were providing employment in the industries also, but there are certain drawbacks in the system also, because the system became very authoritative, system became very bureaucratic, and that system centered around the one party, that was Communist Party, that had ruled over the Soviet Union for over 70 years, but still it was not accountable to the people. There was no openness to the people. People did not complain about the government. People did not say anything about the government. So we can say that the economic reasons and political reasons, all the things were responsible for the disintegration of the USSR, and finally it disintegrated in 1991. That what was Soviet system? Soviet system, we can say at the time, was one of the best systems, because there was no concept of the private property at the time. The government was doing everything, all the things and valuable resources that were controlled by the government. The government was doing everything for the welfare of the people. Government was providing subsidies, and all these things were done by the government. Collective farming was there, but still there was some negative things were there in the system. So this were responsible for the disintegration of the USSR. And some people say that Mikhail Gorbachev, who was became the first, finally became the president of the USSR, he want to become some reforms. He want to restructure the system. He want to brings openness in the system. Some people say that these things were also responsible for the disintegration of the USSR, and so political and economic reasons. So we also came to know about the shock therapy. So shock therapy was basically a painful process of transition from the socialism to capitalism system, and it finally ruined the economy of the USSR. The Russian currency ruble, that also declined, and we also know about the largest Gera sale. Largest Gera sale was that the valuable assets that were owned by the government and all the valuable things They were sold away at the throwaway prices by the government. So they were in a very hurry in a transition from socialism to move towards the capitalism. So they ruined their economy, and that ultimately ruined the economy of the USSR, and finally it brings about the disintegration of the USSR, and finally it disintegrated. And Russia and all these countries that are forming the USSR finally that came that get discharged from the USSR, and finally it disintegrated in 1991, and now all these countries had their own aspirations to join which group. So all these reasons we must say that these were responsible for the disintegration of the USSR, and finally with the disintegration of USSR our world became unipolar, and America that was became the the single superpower at the world global level. Thank you.